Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Bounce Back Better podcast. Big treat today. I have the supercharged, I'm going to say, and that's not on her website, but I have the supercharged true rock star, Nicola Moras, today. We are going to have a chat. I got goosebumps just saying that, Nicola. I'm so excited for our chat. Oh, they're full goosebumps. That means there's big stuff happening. That is crazy. Anyway, a big chat with Nicola, and I have combed through her website a few times before I asked her to be on the podcast. And her mission is to turn heads, make waves, and get seen without selling your soul. She helps people become rock stars. Not actual rock stars, but anyway, we'll jump into this. We'll jump into this today. Oh, actually, I'll give you one last piece. I help badass women own their genius and build success online without the bullshit. It all starts with you stepping into your spotlight and becoming more visible. Oh my gosh, Nicola, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to this chat.
Oh, you're welcome. When we hooked this up a couple of weeks ago, I have been counting down the days to talk to you too, because you are also a badass.
Rockstar. So, well, I think we have a lot in common. So Nicola and I met because we're both in a program, just as high achievers do, to become better, faster and stronger at something we're both passionate about in the speaking industry. So we're both working with mentors as well. And then I reached out because I did have a look at her website, and it is worth checking out. Nicola Moras, MORAS.com. .com.au or just .com?
.com.au.
It is .com.au.
The coaching site .com.au. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a real rockstar site, and it's a very cool site. And when you look at it, you'll really see Nicola's energy. But anyway, Nicola, to start with, I'm going to go with, before we have your story, because I think we'll get to that, and everyone always has an interview about somebody's story. What problem do you solve for people? Like, what is that problem that you just think, I fix that? I don't know why you don't talk to me.
It's like a bit like what you were saying before, you know, how we've got coaches and mentors for helping us get, you know, better, faster, stronger in the area that we want to learn and grow. And I think the people that I work with are primarily women. I do work with some awesome men as well, but they're people who are wanting to get out there in a really big way to be able to help more of the people that they want to be able to help with. But they have potentially got all of the people around them who are saying something similar to what we were talking before we went live, actually, about how that the people around them don't necessarily get it. They might turn around and say, you can't say that stuff online. What would people think? What are people going to say? You can't talk about money. You can't talk about XYZ because your children will get kidnapped, or people will think you're an idiot, or your peers. This is a big one, actually. Your peers are going to think that you're too big for your boots, and who the hell are you to say all of that stuff? So the people hold themselves back, right? And the people that I work with are self-employed people. They're running their own businesses or maybe running their own practice, and they have got a genuine mission and desire to help a lot of people. Like, that's always the kinds of people who come to me. They've got that inner drive to do really great work for people and with people, but they're holding themselves back. So I guess like the people that I work with and the kinds of problems that I solve are, how can we shift people's thinking to being, I'm too big for my boots. If I go and put myself out there, I'm going to get slammed down. I'm going to be cut off at the knees, this, that, and the other, to going, all right, I've got a duty to get out there and help the people that I want to help. And that is more important than worrying about the people who aren't paying my bills, by the way, worrying about what they're saying and thinking and showing up for those people who really need me.
Oh, Nicola, there was something I read on your website and it really resonated with me. I got 3 points to come in with that. But the first one was, I'm not for everyone. And I love that, because the world is full of 7 billion odd people. There are so many people on this earth, and we don't have to be for everyone. And so we start people pleasing, and that's how we end up being mediocre. We don't, we just become beige. Like
Absolutely.
you can't be beige. Beige people are for beige people, and that's fine. But there's all sorts of other colors out there that we can be with. The other thing you mentioned is people feeling like they're too big for their boots, so they hold themselves back. But I'm hearing from you that you say, go get a bigger pair of boots and fit them. Is that true?
Correct. Yes. Long ones, knee-high ones with gorgeous heels and maybe some red soles, by the way. But
Oh, yes. How could the
that's
baby?
maybe
I've
another
never
podcast.
had a pair of those.
They're hot. They're very good. Very good.
And then the last thing was, people holding them back. And sometimes people don't realize they don't do it. They don't do it intentionally. And I find that working with men and women, it's the partner. They don't mean to. They just pull them down. Like, probably, it's not intentional, but it's a thing that happens. So, wow, that's your problem. How do people realize that they're doing that? Like, how do they come to have that realization that they need to get bigger shoes and start filling them? How does it happen?
Well, they're not getting results in the business that they want. Like that's the bottom line, right? They're maybe their marketing's not working. It's just not cutting through the noise. The internet is ridiculously noisy. There's so much content going out, and you can't stand out and fit in at the same time. It doesn't work.
Say that again.
You can't stand out and fit in at the same time, which talks into that beige point that you were talking about earlier, right? There are beige people for beige people, and that's fine. But if you want to be seen, if you want to stand out, if you want to reach the people who are out there needing you, you cannot look, sound, be the same as anybody else in your industry. You have to do something different. So the problem or the symptom that they're experiencing in this moment is, I'm not getting the clients that I want, or I'm not getting enough clients. That's usually where they kind of land. So what I suggest that you do is find a way to tap into really who you are, pull on those big boots if we're playing along with that story, and just remember that you're here to show up for the people out there that need you. It's not for your sister, your kids, your parents, your partners. It's for the people out there who are going to buy your services.
I remember myself when I moved to Australia from New Zealand, and then got into property development in a big way. We are big in property development, and initially I felt a little bit anxious and embarrassed about seeing my face online about property development. And I wondered what my family would even think. That actually has slowed me down so many times, concerned that they would think, who do you think you are? I've finally let that go. It took a while. And interestingly, though, there was a recent advert went out. Like, we have somebody that does that, but it had my face on it. And somebody from the small town I'm in small town New Zealand, made a laughing face. And I thought to myself, and he's probably about 7 or 8 years older than me. And I thought to myself, I bet you're still that freezing worker in that small town doing that same old thing. And I had an initial reaction though, Nicola. I did. I was like, somebody let me know that there was something within. I don't even normally look at that stuff. It just got my attention, and I looked him up to see where I'm like seriously, what sort of stalkiness is that? But it's a thing.
Research, not stalking. Research.
But I mean, isn't that's someone who's been in business for so long for themselves? I've been self-employed my entire life, and one person making a laughing face on an advert that had my face gave me a reaction.
Yeah, it's really common. I call them crabs. The crabs come out when your flamingos start to stretch or rise, or whatever word you want to use to describe that. But the thing is, I think that we as business owners, entrepreneurs, and practice owners, or whoever else is kind of listening to this, we tend to put more attention and second guess ourselves based on those perceived negative interactions, more than what we do to the people who are celebrating and cheering us on, which is really interesting. So you want to build up this bank, if you can, of, I call them amplifiers. Build up your bank of amplifiers so that when the crabs come crabbing and doing their crabby things, that you've got enough there to withstand the little chompers.
Well, I mean, I feel pretty grateful that I had that internal flicked it off. But it
Mm,
was interesting. Like I watched my behavior, so it was
mm,
interesting that I had a little reaction there, and
mm.
then I had to say to myself, which isn't very positive. Oh, he's still in that small town, still a freezing worker, and little old Hawa in New Zealand. Knock yourself out, bro. But that's kind
Yeah.
of where I went. But I shouldn't have. I should have let it go. So that's the biggest problem. So what is the client's actual problem? That's the symptom, is that they're not having that business growth, or
Mm.
the clients coming to them. What is their problem? What is their internal problem?
The the biggest thing I see is around, well, it's fear generally, and that fear of the people like that reacting, well, like yeah, the people that want you to stay the same because it makes them feel better, at the end of the day. The fear of the reaction, um, the fear of the opinions of their peers is a huge thing, because if you're going to go out and you're going to start sharing your opinions and your marketing and putting yourself out there in a way that is different to what everybody else is doing, people are going to they're going to notice. It's not just your prospective clients that are going to notice, it's also your peers that are going to notice. And sometimes it's that fear around what people might say, what people won't say, that's a huge problem. The other thing that I see is they're not thinking this necessarily, but what I see is that they don't have a way to really articulate what makes them different to everybody else, not just like with how they present or how they might do their marketing, but what is it that actually makes them different?
Mm.
Because it's those things that you want to also amplify, to highlight out there, because that's going to resonate with the people who need to hear from you.
And I think you are the perfect example of that. When somebody goes to your website, the word rockstar is used. Turn heads, make waves, get seen without selling your soul. We don't know each other too personally,
Mm.
but but from looking at your website, you are that lady. You are her right now, Nicola. That this is you. You are the rock star. That's it.
But I
And so
can't sing, so it's kind of hilarious. But yeah.
perfect, but energetic, fun, going with
Mm,
what you believe, and
mm.
yeah, and knowing it. So it's the age old story. Did you need to go through this journey to become Nicola Moras?
Of course, I think anyone who's out there, leading, helping, coaching, mentoring in any way, we've been through our trials by fire, right? And I think for me, it's happened a few times. So I've been self-employed since 2010. So at the time of recording, it's like 15 years. And when I first started, I'd come out of an 11, 12-year career in banking. So very
Fun.
straight laced. I actually loved my job, but there's story around that. But it was very straight laced, and kind of when I started this business as a coach, it was like, well, how am I going to be seen as being someone who knows their stuff? So my reality at the time was that, well, we have to be very professional. We have to be very proper. We have to speak a certain way. I was very
Navy blue at the time, I'd say. Very navy blue by the sound of it.
yeah, and boring.
Yeah.
um so and it didn't, and nothing worked. Like, that's not strictly true. There was some marketing that worked, but what I found was that it got to a point in actually April 2012, where almost to the anniversary date, almost, I put out a last ditch effort Facebook advert campaign which was positioning my branding coaching, so style and branding coaching for entrepreneurs. And I was like, pretty much in the bin, like, fuck the rules. I'm doing this my way. Come hell or high water. If it doesn't work, I'm out. Like, I'm done. I'll go get a job.
Back
I
to the bank.
will back to it. Absolutely. I didn't leave on the best of terms with my manager, but I would have, I always performed. So And it's like, right, well, I can always go back and get my job back if that was the thing, or go to another bank. And it worked, but it was because I put everything in the fuck it bin and decided to do it my way that worked. But then fast forward to 2018, I decided I wanted to sort of like reshift a little bit and go a little bit more corporate. And that didn't work either, because I was trying to force myself into something that I thought I had to be, and position myself in a way that I thought I had to be in order to be taken seriously again. And that didn't work. And so again, the bucket bin came out, and put all of that in there. And that's when I wrote, like, I did Visible, and then I kind of just shifted everything back around. It's like, if there was no fear, and if I wasn't worried about what anyone else thought about me, if I was going to do it my way, how would I do it? So I had to kind of like reinvent my own brain again and get out of my own way, follow the process that I take people through, and go, all right, you've got to do this for yourself now again. And that was how, like, after probably about 6 months, that was really when the new website came about. I was like, well, I've always wanted to be a rock star. I've always wanted to be on stage. I've always wanted to perform, and I do sing, but horrifically. And I'm like, right, well, just freaking own it. Like, go out there and be the person that you always wanted to be. So that's how that came about. And it was really scary, and I was really afraid. I was petrified of what people would think, but I was petrified that people, like, I call myself a badass, and you're like, okay, all right, good job, girlfriend. Yeah, you're an idiot. I'm like, yeah, well, that's okay. I own it, whatever. So yeah, I did have to go through my own process, and it is scary, but it's also an evolution, and you're not going to die. And the people who resonate with you because of you're putting yourself out there in a way that is congruent and authentic, and it makes sense and is different, is going to connect with the people who need you,
Who you want to work with.
correct?
Yeah, there are people, and as a coach, for people that listen, not everybody that listens to my podcast, a lot of them are property developers, but also they're just people that are wanting inspiration. But not everyone is a good fit. And I think in all my years, I've been coaching since about 2008, like a long time, business coaching, life coaching, property coaching, like just coaching. But probably there's been a handful of people, and some of them are listening now and thinking, is it me? No, it's not you. You wouldn't be listening now. I definitely would know that. But, it is difficult sometimes to let go of the people that aren't for you. I'm not for you, everybody. And with all the people in the world, you are for a lot of people, but your message is for everybody. Your message is for everybody. Stand up, own it. Turn heads, make waves, get seen. Well, that's if you're into that sort of thing. So maybe it's not everybody. So what is your process, Nicola? Do you share that, or roughly? What do you get people to do when they work with you? And by the way, the question you just asked before we get to that one, when you said, what is it that I absolutely want? Oh my God, that is the one that we forget to ask ourselves. How did you frame that before? Just a minute ago, what did you say? You asked yourself, what is it that if I had no fear, what is it that
Yeah, if there's no fear and nothing holding me back, what would I be doing and how would I be showing up? Something along those lines.
Yeah. And I think everyone listening needs to ask himself that question.
Yeah. And as like, if you mentioned that your audience is, you've probably got a lot of property developers and things out there like that, people listening. And even in your industry, you've all had clients that are a nightmare, and because that happens in every industry, right? It's not just your industry. It's not just, it's not a unique thing. So the best thing that we can do, I think, is show up in the way that you want to be able to show up, and in a way that feels really excellent for yourselves and for your organizations and your businesses. And hopefully that will repel a lot of those people that aren't the right fit. And then your onboarding process, however you do that, whether you're a developer, whether you're a coach, whether you're a speaker, whether you're whoever, You should have an onboarding process or a sales process actually that qualifies people in and qualifies people out. So there's always going to be people that slip through the cracks that are not your people, but you've got to trust in what you're putting out there, that what you're doing should be bringing the majority of amazing people who you want to work with, who are great clients, who you could almost clone and just work with again and again and again.
And I think what you're alluding to there, Nicola, is just that authenticity. When you are just you, because I take a lot of the calls here and I'm always me. This is me. Anyone listening now who's seen us at events, who listens to both of the podcasts, who knows me, knows there is absolutely no difference ever. I'm a bit of a straight shooter. I like people to feel good about themselves, but I'll say it how it is. And I don't know, I just don't really have a lot of fluff. There's no woo-woo. I try to be woo-woo sometimes, but it's just not a me thing. And that's it. That's just it. There's no beige. It's pretty straight up and down, really.
Yeah.
So who's authentically Nicola? So how do you attract your authentic Nicola people? Who are you?
Who am I? Oh, well, similar to you, I'm pretty black and white for most things. I absolutely think that I believe that people are inherently good. I do also believe that that the people who come to me are people who really want to help more people in whatever way, shape, or form it is that they do that, whatever vehicle they have for that. And I think that there are too many people out there at the moment. This really pisses me off, that are like brand new to the industry. They don't have the runs on the board. They tell you to go and just, oh, you've got this problem. Okay, just like search within for the answer and like go and meditate on it. And if your sales aren't working, just focus on manifesting a bit more. It's like, well, there's a time and place for the, you were talking about the woo woo. Like I've dabbled in a lot of woo over my time, but I think that there's too many fakes, wannabes. This looks easy, let's do that. Instant social media expert, just add a logo, that kind of stuff. It makes me really angry, actually. And people are out there and they don't know any better, and they're handing money out like hand over fist to these people that aren't able to generate results. You would see it in your industry as well. Someone who's done one development, then all of a sudden they're a property developer guru, and they don't know anything from anything. And
I actually had a call with someone this morning. Actually, he said, "I'm going to do the particular course from somebody else," and I said, "Do you mind if I ask who that is?" And he told me, and I said, "I've actually never done a development. I know that factually, and I know exactly where their information's come from. They just ripped ours off, but they've never done one." And I just think you're not for me because you've gone for an option, a shiny object. You haven't done your due diligence. I don't want to work with people who don't do their due diligence. I don't want to work with people who are easily sold to. There are people you think, and so I feel sorry for this guy because you just think you're probably going to lose a lot of money. But if you are, we always hang up. I just hang up the phone. I was like, if you're that stupid, like seriously, you got sold to by a salesperson. Yeah, it's a thing. It happens.
But I think that what's hard is that for people don't know how to do I've always struggled saying this, their due diligence. They find it really tricky. They don't know how to research. They don't know how to drill down, and they can be distracted by the shiny things and the slick salespeople. And I think that people who have been around for a little bit, we've got a bit of a duty of care to educate people. I don't care if people buy from me or not. I mean, I do. I want to help them, but I want them to have the best experience. I want them to get the best results that they can possibly get. And I want them to be able to use whatever it is that they get and use that to help more people. That's my whole thing. And if you get that from me or you get that from somebody else, I don't care. Just make sure that you're doing the things. But like you're saying, do your research around the people who are also out there, because it's far too easy these days to just like I see these ads all the time. It's like become a the recent one I've seen is become a neuroscience coach in 15 hours or less.
Okay.
So I'm like,
Oops.
okay, great. How's that going to work out for you?
Oh my gosh, you just got to get yourself a good
Anyway,
marketing squad.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think we have the same pain points, Nicola. So how do you juggle? You're a mummy with how many kids?
3.
How old are you? How old are these guys?
Oh my God, my oldest is 23. My next one's just turned 18, and my youngest is about to turn 17.
17, 18 and 23.
Yeah.
And busy times working. Have you always been a working mum?
I've always been a working mum, always. Sometimes much to the displeasure of my family, but I've always been very driven, motivated, ambitious, and I've always so yes, I've always been a working mum. But when my mum, or when you're a kid and people are like, "Oh, what do you want to do when you grow up, and who are you going to be?" And I was like, "I'm going to be a mum, and I'm going to have at least one child with at least another on the way by the time I'm 25." That was always like my thing, right? Until I turned 19, 20, and became a career person, and then had a kid quite young and whatever else. But always been ambitious and driven and motivated to achieve what it is that I want.
Okay, so how did the juggling go? Because people that do listen to this, there are a lot of parent jugglers. Because for people to be successful, and that's another thing with the people that we work with, they're high achievers,
Mm,
and they will do the work, which is great. We attract
mhm,
those people, and so do I. They will do
mhm,
the work to get to where they want to go because that's what I do, and so that's
mm,
who I attract. If
mhm,
you want something, it's not going to be easy. I never sell that. You want a beige life, you want to be mediocre. Well, then you stay mediocre because you give up on your dreams and you settle. And I always
mm,
say, you're driving along in life and then something happens, because something's always going to happen, and you pull into the car park and you forget to pull back out and carry on your journey. So you never get
yeah,
to your dream because you stay in the car park.
yeah,
That's kind of my thing. And those people stuck in the car park settle for mediocre. But the
mm,
people that I work with have a realization that they don't want mediocre. They'll do what it takes. And sometimes it's hard. It is hard to be that person who, wants to be a high achiever, who
mm,
wants to just have an amazing life. And, like we talked about the
mm,
Gary Vee story with me. Damn,
yeah,
I'll just jump on a plane and go do it. It's just, you just make those
make things
choices and
happen.
go do it. Yeah. I mean, I remember a few years ago, Bob and I were really busy and we just said, okay, we're going to have to work some nights. We picked the television up, turned it around the other way for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So there was
nice.
no TV at night, just to get a certain thing done that we needed to get
Yeah,
done. You just put those things in place to make sure that they
that's right.
happen. So when you were mothering,
Mm.
how did you juggle? How did you get that energy? Where does that come from for you to do that,
Mm.
to do parenting and do working and still be everyone's favorite person?
Well, I wasn't everybody's favorite person all the time, all at the same time, right?
Mm.
And I think that's the thing is like it was oh my God, Hilary, it was so hard. It was so hard. What I remember in when I first started, there was so much stuff that had to be done. So I didn't have any money. So we didn't have money available in a home loan. I have rich parents, we were completely self-sufficient with 3 kids. And I had the choice where when I left work, I was either like I had to go full blown into all of this or go full blown into my stuff, but then also maybe get a part-time job. And I did not want to do that because I knew that if I was going to go and get a part-time job, then that would take away from the time of being able to, do the stuff that needed to be done to build the business. And I would, oh my God. Like the work hours were horrendous. I'd be up before everybody else. I would go and drop the kids off at school and childcare. I'd come back. Sometimes, like my son would be home for part of the week. Like he wasn't always in daycare because being a mum was really important. But I think the thing for me was that it was not an easy juggle, but I don't think juggling's easy anyway. Right. And
Mm.
I don't also believe in balance in the sense of like equal parts family and equal parts work. It's like for me, I'm like, I'm an all in kind of girl, probably very similar to yourself. If I say I'm going to do something, then you get, I'm like, all right, I'm in, boots and all, and sink or swim. That's the kind of thing. But I remember, uh, one time I had the girls. So I've got two girls and then a boy, and the girls were, the oldest was at school, and then the second child was at childcare, and I had my son Jake at home with me. He would only have been, oh God, he might have been around 2 years old, I reckon. And I I was sitting in my office, it was in our first house that we'd bought together, sitting in my tiny office, which was about 2 meters by 1 meter. I had like all of my motivational stuff on the wall next to me. I was crammed into this tiny, tiny little space. So Jake could not fit in there with me. So I think I'd popped on the Wiggles or something for him on television to keep him entertained. My office wasn't in the it wasn't, I couldn't see the lounge room and the kitchen and anything like that. It was like just off a hallway. And I remember tapping away because I'm a little bit of I get hyper focused and focus, 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 focus. And then something happened. I'm like, oh shit, I haven't seen Jake for a little bit. Might just go find him. So I've gone out into the lounge room and I discovered him sitting behind the couch with an empty packet of biscuits that he'd managed to open. He'd trawled his way through this whole packet of like arrowroot biscuits or whatever it was. It's not the worst cookies in the world.
No.
And I was just like, holy shit, like how long have I been ignoring you for? This is really
What day
terrible.
is it?
What day is it?
it?
What time is it? Is it school run time? He's eating this whole packet of biscuits. And that was, it doesn't sound really dramatic, but it was a really big turning point for me to go, aha, I can't do things like this. So what I actually ended up doing, I managed to get things working to a point in that last ditch effort campaign that I told you about before, 23rd of April 2012, and I actually took the leap of hiring someone to come and help me out at home. So we hired a woman called Bev. Now everybody in the world needs a Bev, and what Bev would do is she'd ship the kids off to school. She would make sure that I was eating because I would just work and not eat because I'd be so focused. She'd do stuff around the house, and she was such a lifeline for me. I think at the time it was like to hire somebody to do something like that at a part-time level was maybe about $500 a week. I think I was paying her around there. And the way that I looked at it was, if I could use that time, if that bought me 5 hours of work that I could focus, and if I can make one sale, if I can get one new coaching client, even if it's only every couple of weeks, get one new client in those hours, that more than covers her salary. And it buys me peace of mind that my kid's not going to be hiding behind the couch eating however many more packets of biscuits. I would be fed and things would work. So not everybody has that. Not everybody has the ability to do that. And I get that. But for me, the juggle, I did not want to let go of the business. I knew I could make it work, and I knew I could do some really great work in the world. And I was really driven and motivated to do that. But it also meant that by the time 6 o'clock came around, I was 100% present with my family and 100% present with my kids. And then I had that time where I was just completely focused on, them or on work.
And where focus goes, energy flows, Nicola.
That's right. But it was
and
hard.
the energy, I can understand that feeling of being not a great mother. And the thing is, you would have got away with it because it's the women when they go to work, there's that sometimes feeling of, I should be at home with my kids. But sometimes the women that stay at home, and I've been guilty of it too, we become distracted. We aren't that great a mum. I'm not a Play-Doh mum. That's what I used to say. I am not a Play-Doh mum. I staying at home and doing Play-Doh and playing with my children when they grew up wasn't my idea of fun. They had more fun at daycare than hanging out with me. I'm a great mum when they hit sort of 12 and 13. That's kind of where I come into that's my vibe. From there onward, I'm good. But maybe even around 9 or 10. Yeah, that's my thing. But not that. I'm just not the Play-Doh. I'm not the Play-Doh mum, and that's what I'm hearing you say.
Absolutely.
You've just focused on the business. I have to do a mention. I have the same here. And Shelley said she makes my podcast every week. And so, I've got Shelley at our workplace, and she just does all those bits for me that you need someone to do. And my gosh, it just you got the Bev equivalent.
Yeah.
We even have Shelley's daughter's my cleaner. So there you go. We've got the whole
Perfect.
family involved.
But I think it kind of talks into like this, the way that people define, the way society defines, what a good mum looks like and things like that, and how we judge ourselves and how we judge other people. And I think that you and I are not that unique in the sense
No.
that we're the only ones out there who feel like this. Do you know
Nope.
what I mean? And I think that society is really quick to be like, oh, she is working back full time after her kids only, insert whatever age they happen to be. Or she's a terrible mum because she's working and she's working from home, or she's working from somewhere where her kids could also be. It's like, well, different strokes for different folks. And I think that if we play into our strengths, whether it's marketing, whether it's parenting, whether it's business, whether it's, in your lifestyle, if you play to your strengths, then you'll find the thing that works for you rather than trying to be all things to all people, because you can't, it's impossible. You can't do it.
Yeah, you can't do it. You end up with kids behind the couch eating biscuits.
Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely hear you. The other thing is, it's okay to be the person who works for the other, who does that role as well. Shelley's role is integral in
Yep.
what we do. So, everyone has their role, and it works out. It'll work out how it's supposed to be. She also runs a business and has a truckload of kids. Like she's she's a superwoman as well. So we've got superwoman with superwoman, which is epic.
Yeah.
The other thing, you've been sick, Nicola, for a while. You took some time off work. How's it been coming back and getting your health back? How was that?
Oh my God. What a journey. I hate that word journey, but what a journey. I have been sick. And I have been really healthy this year, which has been really, really great. Thank goodness. And it's like every month that kind of ticks past, it's like, oh, I felt really great this month. I've got so much energy. I'm so close to being back to how I was pre being ill, which is really, really exciting. I don't wish that on anyone. It's been really hard. It's been hard coming back.
I can see the emotion in you. Your face is changed. For people watching this on YouTube, I can see it's challenging. Now, Nicola didn't know I was going to bring this up. I just thought I'd throw it in and see where it went. But I suppose what I'm thinking about is coming back from being sick. And obviously it took a massive toll, because the conversation sparked some energy in you that isn't your vibrant energy. It's kind of like, oh, swallow. So how was it having to slow down for a bit and then coming back again?
Oh my God. It was, I didn't know if I was going to be able to come back.
Whoa.
Like that was actually the thing. So, I was so depleted, and I was so tired, lethargic, ill. So I had breast implants, and they were slowly poisoning me from the inside and completely wreaked havoc on my whole entire body. And I didn't realize for some time that was what was actually going on. When I realized what was going on, I had them taken out, but that was a couple of years down the track, and the problem had been hanging around for about 18 months before. So the first 6 months of getting them in was no problem. And then from about 6 months on for a further 18 months, it was ravaging. And so by the time at my worst, even after getting them out to start with, I was so afraid, actually, that I would never get back to being even remotely similar to how I was before I had them in. So I'm incredibly sporty. I play roller derby. I do all the things. I'm out and about. I run businesses, like my business. I coach. I've got 3 children that I'm heavily involved in their lives, and I'm a busy human. It got to the point where I could not work, and I was napping on the couch, like literally every day, because I could not get through a day without sitting on the couch and having a sleep, which is so completely opposite to how I am just as a general person. So the fear of maybe I'm not going to get better, and how am I going to, if I do get better, what is that going to look like? Are people going to be responsive to my marketing again when I come back? Been in business for a really long time, but 2 years out of business and out of actively marketing, out of the public eye, pretty much off social media, talking about work. That's a huge gap and a lot
Especially
changed.
in this day and age, Nicola. And that 2 years was massive growth. And we're talking, this is recent 2 years, and hasn't the internet and marketing changed?
Oh my God, like AI has become a whole thing. And, so it was really, it was so hard. And my fear around coming back was hard. But the biggest thing for me was, while I was off and starting to get better, was trying to work out and wrap my head around, who am I without my business? Am I worthy? How do I contribute to society? If I have to go and get a job, what the fuck am I going to do? Am I going to go and be a teller in a bank? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
You already tried it.
now, like,
And,
I'm not,
and left on bad terms.
yeah, you
I mean,
know,
that boat may have sailed.
yeah, I mean, it was like a long time ago, but what would I do? What would I do for work? Am I okay with this? This sounds really terrible, but I trust that this will be taken in the way that it's intended. It's like, am I okay with being a nobody? Am I okay with not being the person that's going out helping people? Am I okay just being a kept woman, for want of a better way of phrasing that, and relying on my husband to provide and all the rest of it? And so I had to do a lot of work around unlinking who I am and what my identity is
All the
without,
bits that clung to who the bits rather than, yeah. There's a great
know what I
question you're
mean?
supposed to ask. What is that question when you say, tell me about you? And people will always just go straight to, I've got 3 kids, or they'll talk about their
Yeah,
job. So when those identities are pulled away, who are you at the core, which means what are your values,
yeah,
really? I
yeah.
think. Is that what you think?
I think values are important, but I'm not my values. Like, they're a
No.
part of me, but like, and they drive me and they motivate me, and that is that is a big part of me. But I think the thing that I came back to is that I'm enough, and I'm worthy for just being me, and for what I bring to the world, and for how I am. It's not about, like, the vehicle might change,
Mm.
but I think we often hitch our identity to our work, like, and they seemingly become intrinsically linked. And we've got to remember that we're awesome without all of the stuff too, and that you're worthy
Mm.
without all of that stuff.
That's interesting. Do you have a huge friend group, Nicola? Like, are you a person that collects a lot of friends, or you just have a select few, or you're too busy for them, or what's your friend situation? I'm asking
Oh,
that.
you ask the hard questions.
Oh, I asked because I'm a real busy person, and I don't have a huge friend. I know tons of people,
Mm,
and I'm just like not a very good catch up person. I've got a friend over from New Zealand right now. Awesome. I'm actually thinking she needs to listen to this to start with, but I thought I might even interview her. Successful businesswoman,
yeah.
amazing. We've hung out last night. We went out Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They came having dinner tonight, and then they're off.
Mm,
Great to see them. When I go back to New Zealand, I go see them. I've got another girlfriend over there. Haven't seen her or talked to her since her birthday last May. And I thought, this May, oh my gosh, I've missed Tracy's birthday. I thought, shall I send her flowers? I was like, oh, she knows me. So I only have, like, I don't have a huge, but I don't
mm,
need, I'm not one of those people that has to have 100 people. It's just,
mm,
I know if I wanted to go out, if I wanted to do something or catch up with somebody, I could ring somebody. I've got Leonie, the florist. I've got a few people around me, but I'm not, what I'm saying is
mm,
I'm not a person that has to have a huge amount of friends, because I find it that I don't really have too much time because of my personality,
mm.
that to fit lots of people in. By the time, my
Yeah.
bestie's my partner, and we spend all of our time together, even work together.
Mm.
But so what about you? Do you have a huge friend group, and how do you roll with that in working?
I don't have a huge friend group. I've probably got, there's four or five close girlfriends that I have that are my ride or dies. Like, absolutely. Outside of that, I've got lots of other people that I know, and acquaintances and mates, and stuff like that. But in terms of, like, really close, that's it. I think one of the other things that I've learned about myself over the last couple of years since, recovering and whatever else, has been that I don't have the tolerance for a whole lot of people. I'm not as nice and as accommodating as probably what I have been in the past. I'm like, oh, do we have to go out? I don't really like people. Like, I like my people, but I don't really want to. I find I'm so protective still these days of my energy that I'm pretty selective around who's in my close immediate circle.
Did you find that when you were sick, you actually needed your people, or you didn't?
Oh, I bunkered down. Yeah, I did need the people, but only the close people. Not many people knew really what was going on. I pulled back a lot because I had no energy. So I pulled back from everything. The only things that I'd still continued to do was I still played roller derby and I still went to training because I was the president and coach at the time. So I still did that.
Of course you were.
that was my sanity thing. That was my link to the outside world. That was my sanity. Otherwise I wouldn't have ever left the house. And that just brings me so much joy that's not related to work or family. So I've got that, that outlet's really important for me. But outside of that, I pretty much pulled back and I was really selective about who was in my world, who were the people that brought energy versus depleting energy. So, yeah.
We touched on values. Do you know at least 3 of your top 5? Because we all should know our top 5. And the most important thing about values, as Nicola alluded to it as well, they bring you joy because we have to have them infused into your life to make sure that we feel happy, because they're the things that make us feel happy. So Nicola, do you know your top 3 to 5?
Oh, great question. So health, family, connection, fun, service.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Health was health always at the top before you were sick?
No.
There you go. And values change. That's the thing. So that values will change, because when you're 19, family probably isn't going to be a value. It sort of alters with when you get children and stuff. Yeah, cool. Okay. So
what about yours?
Oh, mine are health's in the top 5. Fun, same as you. Fun is probably at the top, or as in top 3. What's another one? So it's achievement, health, achievement. Oh, and I can't remember the others. I have done them numerous times. I'm probably due to do them again. Oh, loyalty. Yeah, respect, actually. Respect. And I'm like you, I don't really suffer fools, so I can't be bothered with people that are not smart, or not, I shouldn't say smart, but just wishy-washy. I just like solid people. So yeah, respect is really big for me. People that are in my circle, I have to respect them and they have to respect me. It's probably one of my bigger ones. But yeah, that's kind of in mind. But I am due to do them again as a bit of a reminder. That I actually write about it in my book, everyone. You know, the old book, 3 Wines. And I'll send you a copy, actually, Nicola.
Please, that'd be great.
Go through the back half. The front half talks about 4 girls that go out and drink too much. And then the back half, and what they do is when they've had too much to drink, by one, they just have 3 wines instead of their standard 2, where they have lunch every month. When they have the extra drink, they do something they don't normally do. You know how alcohol gives us courage?
Yeah.
So it's about learning how to do that without having to drink. And I'm not saying don't drink. Trust me,
Cool.
I love a good wine or 4. But it's just learning how to. But people would see you and I and think, oh, these 2 are so confident. It's all right for you. But we weren't always like that. And we just talked about some things that made you tear up. And there have been times in both of our lives where things have been hard, or, we push ourselves. You asked yourself the question, what would I do if I didn't have fear? And then went and did it. Like, I got goosebumps just saying that. That is a massive question. And people listening, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Because that's what you actually need to do. Get out of the car park, get on that highway, because that is your goal. And that to me is like one of life's secret sources. So yeah, the girls have 1 extra. drink, and they all do something they shouldn't. And then they talk about, one of them goes, I just did a program because I'd moved towns. And then that talks about the program. It goes through goal setting, understanding your values, understanding, like, becoming organized in all areas of your life, not just cleaning out your wardrobe, like, your finances, or having a morning routine, just kind of setting your life up for success. It's kind of a success journal, really. And then it talks about how each of the girls implemented it. But every story in the book is true, because they all talk when they have lunch. They just catch up, girl catch up. It's like, oh, one of the kids did this, and one of them's husband had run off, and every story, like I said, is true. So the funny thing about it is, a lot of them are my stories, but a lot of them are other people's stories. I don't use real names, but the people are all based on two people that I know, because I'm a personality profiler. So I make sure I've got every personality in there. So when you read it, you will either go, that's what I would do, that's me, or that's my sister, or that, oh, my neighbor did that. You can really resonate, because I think that for me, I just believe all of us have the same problems, just in coming in a different jacket.
Different packages. Yeah, absolutely.
New package. And some of us have hold the problem for longer, and some of us will walk through it faster. Like your question, which to me is the question of, that's the best thing I've ever heard. What would I do right now if I wasn't afraid? That's just gold. So yeah, that's how I talk about values in there, and you unpack it. Yeah, there's a few other things, there's a few more bits, and it's very much a coaching style book, but it's just a bit of fun. You've written a couple.
I have, yes. I've written many, actually. I think we're at, like, I don't know, it's maybe 5 or so, but the proper ones are back here. So Visible and Into the Spotlight, which is a bit more. Visible's kind of like, well, you've got to get yourself out there. Into the Spotlights, here's how we unpack your brain and use that to position yourself as an expert in your market.
Nice. I think I want a copy of that one. Let's do a book trade.
Sounds great.
Sounds good. We'll put them in the post to each other. So yeah, we'll definitely do that. Nicola, before we end this podcast, and anyone looking to check Nicola out to start with, go to her website. Like I said, Nicola Moras, moras.com.au. Definitely worth checking out. She is an absolute rock star. Remember, I help badass women own their genius and build success online without the bullshit. It all starts with stepping into your spotlight and becoming more visible. She's not for everybody. Love that. A true rock star. From invisible to visible. These are all words that are off her website. Turn heads, make waves, and get seen without selling your soul. Those are internet nobody to industry rock star. These are all Nicola's words. So if any of those resonate with you, go check her out at her website and reach out. She's got heaps of free resources. Before I invited her to the podcast, I downloaded all of them just to have a look. Definitely worth checking out. And she has a podcast, so definitely worth having a listen. If anything, just do it anyway. It's always good to support other people. So, but before we end this podcast, Nicola, is there any question I should ask you? Is there any one thing you want to make sure that people know about you? What is the thing that I've missed, or you just, it's so important you say it out loud?
Oh, I think we've pretty much covered it. I don't think there's anything that you've asked that you haven't asked, rather. I think the big thing is that people just need to stop listening to either other people's bullshit or their own bullshit, and stop using that as a reason to not get out there, to not go out there and do the things. Because I think the big thing that we all need to remember is that life is too short, and we all have things that happen in our lives, whether it's to ourselves or to people who are close to us, that remind us of this. But we land back in that comfortable place again. It's like, I feel like I'm kind of like that lull, like, which feels safe and warm, and you might not be getting what you want and what you need in that place. But life is too fucking short, and it's too short to live somebody else's life. It's too short to not try and achieve everything that you can possibly achieve, whatever that looks like for you. And I think, I know what I want to say. The thing for all of us to remember is that there is somebody out there who needs to hear from you. Whether you're a builder, whether you're a developer, whether you're a coach, whether you're an author, whether you're a practice manager, doesn't matter what industry you're in, doesn't matter how how you show up in the world, but the world is ready for your brand of awesome.
I love that. And there are people for everybody, and people talk into our lives sometimes. I've got a very special friend, Jackie, who just says things to me every now and then, and they just, someone speaks into your world and they fire you up on the inside. There is somebody for everyone, and not everyone knows that somebody is out there, or that they are somebody. So you're probably doing it, I'm probably doing it, and other people do it for us. Yeah. Well, everybody, as usual, to finish the podcast, and this is what I say every single week, Nicola, is please text a friend and tell them how amazing they are. It doesn't matter who they are. Just text somebody and brighten their day, because we all do it. How good would the world be? So just tell someone that something awesome about themselves. And the last thing, if you had joy from this, 2 things actually. Check out Nicola Moras online. Go to her website and have a look at what she's up to. It's just even worth it for the website. It's pretty out there. It's so rockstar. And I would love for you to share this. If you've had anything useful from it, share this podcast with a friend. Anyway, that's it from Nicola Moras and Hilary Saxton. Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.